or big ideas and deliver it to the most amount of people. I'm impressed by that.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Warhol. Are you into Warhol?
big fan of Warhol.
Yeah, I figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the pop art guy.
Yeah.
To
To make ideas accessible to everybody.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That soup can, like, at first glance, looks like there's no depth. It's a picture of a Campbell's soup can, but you know, you look at it and you think about it long enough, and it's making some sort of statement on capitalism, commercialism, about American culture at large, and so on and so forth. And it's like you can derive all these things from a screen print of a Campbell's soup can, and
And it looks cool.
And the only reason it works is because he did it. So it's about the mind behind the soup can that qualifies its depth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if it's just a screen print of a soup can that's being sold in from a street vendor or something like that, and it's just some guy and you don't know the context of the person or that person's depth or whatever, then it loses all of its meaning and all of its quality. It's an interesting concept. A lot of my favorite, like, I got really into the abstract expressionists, like the 1950s. So I love Pollock.
You're a big Rothko guy, right?
And that's where I was getting. So my favorite painter in history is Mark Rothko. And I couldn't figure out why for the life of me for so long. I was like, why does this like color blocking speak to me in such a, I just love it. It's just, and it was Rothko himself that I loved. I figured out. It wasn't as, I loved him as much as the paintings. It's like, that to me is exactly, it's a great example of what you were just trying to get at with like taking larger philosophical swings with really, really simple execution, you know? And there's this play called Red, and it's about Rothko. You should check it out. I think there was like, they filmed it on PBS, and I'm pretty sure you can find it on YouTube or something, but it's just called Red. And it's about Rothko and his new assistant, and like the whole play, it's like a 90-minute play, takes place, it's just a 2-person play, it takes place in Rothko's studio. And he has this approach that I've really adopted into my own practice with Bonelang. And there's this great line where the assistant shows up. He's a little skittish and a little nervous because he's about to work with the great Mark Rothko. And Rothko is like, you show up at 9, we leave at 5. We treat this, we work like bankers. We don't stay late. We don't do any, we don't obsess through the night. We show up at 9 and we leave at 5. We are bankers. And then halfway through the play, like no paint has hit the canvas yet. And there's this big stretched out canvas, and the assistant asks like when they're going to start and he goes, don't you understand that 90% of painting is just thinking?
Yeah.
And then in the end, the painting it's red. And then another part of it is just like a little different shade of red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after you've heard him like kind of torture himself with the, like drilling towards the center of the earth, philosophically speaking, you know what I mean? And then going and like applying this red on the canvas, all of a sudden you're like, wow. And you're like, why? Wow. It's just red paint on a canvas, but it's just like, wow, there's so much to be had. And one of the paintings had this like, it's just, so it's all red. And then there's just this tiny kind of like small little slit in the middle. Mm-hmm. So it's like a brighter red, and through the slit is a darker red. And you stare at, and they shine the spotlight on the painting. And if you look at it long enough, it's like you're getting sucked into this bitch. It's like kind of like a vortex. You're like, wow, like you just did this with like 2 shades of color, and it's just like so deep and meaningful, and and I enjoy that style of execution, and I'd like to get better. I think I'm getting a lot better as a writer, as a songwriter, as a writer in general, about being a little more simple in my delivery and being cleaner in my speech, and like